Looks as though the spec delay has fallen off for us here, and here we are in another Titans League play all three. Again, just to restate the situation here, we've got Dracken who's playing as the Persians, and Dracken got 1 win against ACCM, who got 13 wins out of 15 in previous season's group in Platinum. So that's a pretty big achievement for Dracken to start off with a victory. Villese, though, he's always so consistent, and he is a favorite in this series. Villese in his first week went 2-1 versus Margugu. So, Nili, fun map. I think you were the one that actually first debuted this map many years ago in one of your events, right?
It's like NAC2, kind of the coming out of this map. It might be. Obviously, we had lots of new civs added and maybe some changes there with the deer and all the boars, but yeah, people's loving it because there are so many different approaches, and we already see the difference with the TC placement.
Yeah. I'd say this has maybe happened only 10% of the time in Gold and Platinum, the walking to the woodline. So this is Villese showing us something slightly different, but I do like the approach. The downside of this is you're down a villager because you have to walk so far to build that TC. The obvious positive, though, is that you are then more protected. Your woodline can't really be raided or towered because your TC's on it. And the thing that I could envision for Villese here is an easy wall-off between those woodlines and just kind of protecting himself in that corner so he won't be as exposed on land.
It's really cheap to wall this, right? What is it, like 5 or 6 palisade walls to basically completely wall this one off, including the stone there? The problem also is elephants are really far away if you build your town center like this, right? So you typically have 4 elephants, and only 1 is really close to your town center here.
Yeah, that's true. I really like Berbers if you're going to place a TC like this because of the slightly faster villagers. And also, I think Berbers on this map can be pretty good because generally you want stable units in the mid game here, which Berbers can excel at. But dock opening, and we've seen a lot of players go fast feudal here to kill fish. My personal feeling is that the middle land, where all the hunt is, and obviously the woodlines and whatnot, is super valuable. And I think that thus far, the majority of players haven't really realized that yet. But still, it does seem like most players are still going fast feudal to go for fire ships or galleys. So that could happen here from either.
Yeah, the thing is simply getting control there, having 3-4 extra villagers basically, or workers, just gives you such an economy boost, and then you will catch up with Castle Age. And it kind of also puts your opponent in like the mental state, wow, okay, I'm behind in economy, I have to force the issue now.
Yeah. I think Persian should have the better start. The additional plus 50 wood, plus 50 food, plus the faster TC means that Dracken should be the player who maybe have the edge with that. And I think he will do that. He's just now making his lumber camp. But once that's completed, he'll then have 2 Dark Age buildings with the dock lumber camp. And then I think he'll definitely have the food to click up. This is a very well timed build. I think just the lumber camp being a little bit late is something that'll slow him down. But Malian's probably better at combining approaches, right? Because of the cheaper wood buildings. So they could do more things at once with their buildings.
Yeah, but the thing is, how many docks are we going to build here? Obviously, 150 wood, you could save a lot there, but the Feudal Age timing will be more than a minute. This is less likely to lose water.
Yeah. And then I think the thing I'd like to see from Dracken in the event that happens is use that Camel Scout properly and try and find if there's going to be a barracks, an archer range, anything like that. Far too often, Nili, even in Platinum, I feel like players haven't been utilizing the Camel Scout. You could see now Drakken's just going to check the shoreline, though. So this is smart, just to see if Villese is going to go for 2 docks.
Yeah. And he will see that the one villager that typically builds the extra docks is still on shorefish. So maybe Villese even sending the village out could have gone for a wall in there, but he just goes double dock, Persian, 10% extra production. Should be an easy water win for him.
Yeah, so Dracken should assume right now that it is not going to be a second dock for Villese, at least not at the same time that he's going to be doing it. And Villese is bringing 2 villagers. Look at the scouting from him. He sees the woodline, he sees the gold. He hasn't seen the additional dock, but I'm pretty sure because it has been the meta and based on the build that he's seen, no barracks, villagers being on gold, that this should tell him this is going to be Navy. And again, just wondering, will Dracken check for a barracks, because if I were him, I would probably check where you think the base is for the barracks in the middle. Kind of reminiscent of the one game you had against FedEx in gold, right? Like building the buildings there so they can't see it.
Yeah, and Draken scouting, honestly, a bit underwhelming here. He didn't even know that the TC was up top. And no outposts now, still no barracks. He should know, wow, you play one dock. This has to be a land play from you.
Yeah,
why is there no reaction?
Yeah, I think, well, you know, there's something that I think Dracken's really good at is he's really good with executing that first opening, right? And his builds are honestly phenomenal. And so he's set out to go kill the fish, but we'll see if he can adapt from it. Villese, I like the move, but I like the move from Dracken as well to know what this means. That's a demo, and he's just come out here because he won't compete on water to try and kill fish. So he will get one fishing ship there with the demo, but still no reaction from Dracken. And his camel scout is just on the edge of the map, nearly. He's not checking to see where...
Now walling with 3 villagers. I don't think this will be in time. Oh, this is getting close, Tristan.
This is getting really close. Like, if he knew he quick walls this, right? And Villese, if he walks through there with the villager, he could use the villagers and the archer. And, oh, man, this is going to be so difficult for Dracken to deal with right now.
And look at that. Villese now blocks this off. Rewall impossible, and an archer helping out. Fletching is coming in as well. This is annoying for Draken.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, you're going to kill fishing ships if you're Dracken, which is obviously fantastic. But now your villagers are going to be pulled off of gold, and you're probably just going to lose more and more and more here. I think you just got to... Do you let 3 vills die? Okay, this works, actually. Let those 2 die. Re-wall that. Or add something. And he is adding a barracks, nearly. So he can adapt into an archer range to maybe stabilize a little bit.
Well, still off gold. Although he can reclaim the gold a bit further to the left. Oh, and one villager even survives.
Yeah,
wow.
Seriously. Yeah. I'm surprised. You know, Villese, what he is doing is he's placing mills on the hunt right now. That is pretty far away from him compared to Dracken, though, like we said before. And I thought it was going to be worse. I mean, the other villager will still die, but still feels like with Dracken having a couple fishing ships and adding more right now, it's possible for him to maybe stabilize here.
The tower behind the woodline could be really ugly, though.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and the other gold for Dracken is just further up the hill to the left. He hasn't actually scouted it, so he doesn't know about that just yet. If anything, he might try and run over to the coast for some gold later on. But so far, kind of what we expected with a lot of aggression and archer play from Villese. But I mean, Dracken's in this game. He's got fish. He's got skirmishers coming out. The eco KD is only 4-3 for Villese, and Persian TCs do produce a bit faster here.
Yeah, pretty nice. And skirms should be fine. Not the greatest awareness of Villese. Will lose an archer at the front, so some harassment at the left-hand side. But efficiency is simply not great with the new lumber camp.
Yeah, it's rough at the moment. Dracken trying to collect himself. And again, what he can't really do either is he can't take the risks on the hunt like Villese is doing. So I think Villese, you know, seeing the skirms, he may feel like it would make sense for him to go scouts, and he was already ahead of the game. I see him now completing the stable. So it'll just add a couple scouts against the skirms. This is pretty textbook still from the Finn.
This is interesting how they will approach this, because technically a long feudal age could actually be an option here.
Yep. Look at this. Dracken's going to snag that elephant. That's a bit risky. There was archers there a moment ago. But you got to take some risks here to beat one of the best. And I'm a bit impressed with Dracken staying alive and rewalling as well.
There are barely any villagers around in the town center. Okay, now he's sending some in. This could be okay. Ooh. Gets it. Reasonably well done. And yeah, he's fully walled off. And Villese can't find as much damage as he was hoping for.
Yeah, I think it was... I get what's happened here for Villese. Like, I know that he's transitioning into scouts, and he's really going for that unkillable feudal age army. I'm sure it'll hurt soon. But, like, a little surprised that he never towered the wood line and the gold when he had the time. And the fact that he's allowed Dracken to get these walls down does give Dracken access to gold again.
Or maybe just wall in the gold, right? That could have also been an option. You had the 2 villagers there. He built a tower somewhere. Oh, he's now building it next to the gold.
Yeah. So he's going to hold that position. I mean, ultimately, I still think this is going to be really good for Villese. Dracken must sense that archers might be coming, and he gets more damage control walls down here. I mean, if he can keep these archers out, and he can stabilize, we know he's going to need to market at some point, right? His eco's not looking too balanced. But he's in this game, Dracken. He came to play today, nearly.
Yeah, you have to love it. Obviously, having the fish is really carrying you. That's why he doesn't need to expand that much. That's how he can afford all those skirmishes. Now, as you just said, the market, and he should be fine. And now he found the second gold.
Yeah, I was just going to say, does he find that gold? Because then he can maybe re-wall. Maybe a world, I know players don't like the tower because you want your stone for later. But with a game this messy, I think maybe even just towering that area. It'll protect your gold. It'll also protect your wood line. Oh god, this little choke point could be so brutal for these villagers. And there's no spearmen over here, and archers are coming. And oh, Dracken's done a good job. But he's still losing some rounds here. Needs the quick walls down. This is brutal.
Oh, those are villager losses. Oh boy, and now he pulls everyone.
Yep, and he's getting some rewalls, but I think Villese will be very happy with this. Eco KD now 8-3. He can always bring in more army as well. And, I mean, Dracken, he was so close to stabilizing this, but the other archers are in as well. And I think Villese might be able to just force the GG from Dracken here in Feudal Age. There's no way you stop this amount of army now.
Well, he goes for skirms. He could technically still go for the tower, but yeah, it just feels like stuff is going really well for Villese.
Villese also adding fires. Look at that fire. And he's repairing the dock. So he's sneakily killing all the fish. Or not the fish, sorry, the navy. So there's no guarantee the fish will even be safe for Dracken. Dracken's lost a lot, man. And Villese is micro. So good. There's a lot of skirms out here. They have fletching. But Villese gets the job done. Game number 1. Really good game. I think we saw the benefit to both strategies, in all honesty. But for Dracken, it was not scouting the push initially. And it was a lot of damage control. And I think Dracken clearly showed, while having the knowledge late, that Villese, he didn't know about Villese's initial push, right? And he still did a really good job. So I think if Dracken had the mindset of, my opponent's on one dock and I know that, that must mean he's going land. I think that he actually does a better job at defending. And maybe this game goes Castle Age.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It felt like the walls felt so natural with the scouting intel that he had. But still remember, like, if he gets that one palisade down next to his gold, just like 2 seconds earlier walls, and it's such an easier defense for him as well.
Absolutely. You know, res collected, 7,000 resources for Dracken, 7,200 for Villese. So he lost 17 eco in this game. Dracken was a couple walls away from maybe only losing like 5. And, then maybe we would have said he was in the better position. So Dracken definitely came to play. He played this one very well, but Villese, the favorite, gets the win. And now is like every Dracken fan's like biggest moment where everyone's like, okay, baby, we came to play to get a win today on Hideout, most likely. And so I'm excited to see if Dracken's going to be able to do what he did against ACCM and get a win here on his home map. Game number 2, man, these guys are ready to go. No delays whatsoever. And Dracken hoping to get a victory here. It's still, many people feel like will be tough for Dracken to survive in Titans League Platinum, particularly with this map pool. So this is the map that he chose. This is the map he made it messy on and got a win versus ACCM. Dracken goes for the Portuguese, not the Cumans, which was an option. And Villese goes for the Bohemians, where I feel like the Bohemian late game is superior. Nearly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bohemians. Like, yeah, we have limited gold here, but the distance is so short that most of the time you want to fight, and therefore we don't get into this like scenario where Draken plays 3 Victoria and it's a super all-in.
Yeah, that's true. And Draken typically isn't a player to go for any Feudal Age shenanigans. He's normally the one that is defending against Feudal Age shenanigans, but I wonder if maybe he feels like he might need to attempt some like man-at-arm tower pressure or something, because I think the Bohemians might have a smoother fast castle. Just like, I think the cheaper blacksmith and also the extra gold you bring in with the gold mining can feel a little bit nicer with Bohemians.
Yeah, true.
So.
Draken, actually one of the guys I would think maybe my absolute favorite player when it comes to playing to win if he has a heavy Civ disadvantage. I think this mainly applies to ladder games, but if it's a random Civ and it's like hunts against Bohemians, then we could see him go for feudal age aggression. But here, obviously, civilizations are way too close, and that's why I would also expect a Castle Age play from him.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And they don't know this yet, but the while they are close per se, the wood line jutting out so far does make it a bit awkward to get some damage in. So we'll see. But I wanted to revisit what I had said earlier because I think it's really fun. So to give the full context, when Dracken
Pathing villager. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Has that been happening to you a lot the last month with the pathing around houses with villagers?
I think once was really brutal.
Okay.
But I've seen multiple people complain, and yeah, Reddit was all over it.
Yeah. I've had instances where my villagers are just going ways they shouldn't while bringing in boars. So anyways, that aside, well done from Villese there. So when Dracken was in gold, I did a prediction video, predicted that he'd be relegated. He then wins his group, sends me a screenshot of my predictions, as well as the Michael Jordan meme, and I took that personally. I loved it. I was like, that's amazing. Like, I'm glad that, my words gave you motivation, right? Like 3 days ago, Nilly, this is before he had played ACCM. Maybe it was 4 days ago. Anyways, he sends me a message, and it's another screenshot of my predictions because we did a prediction challenge, right? I didn't make a video this time. So he finds my predictions, sends me a screenshot of all the results where I predicted he would lose, which was a lot of the sets.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm T90. I say Drakken's amazing in Platinum and really good for the format. And yet I only predicted him to get 3 wins.
You gave him 312?
I think I didn't. I mean, it was like 3 weeks prior that I did the predictions, and I just went by each set, right? So I didn't look at the total. So I guess that's what it came out to.
With Magugu and Miguel in the group, and having Hideout and the Wall, 312 is going hard on him. Yeah.
I think it is. I think realistically, I could see him getting 6 with the way things are going right now. I think Miguel's a bit out of shape, possibly. He could definitely get wins versus Margugu. But anyways, aside from how brutal that might have been, he was like, this isn't even including the 3-0 where you said I'd lose to Villese, right? So he's confident, and I just, as much as it is a bit weird to maybe be called out like that by a player, I feel like he comes into that with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and something to prove, which I really like. So I appreciate that aspect of Dracken. He hasn't been rude to me about it, but I appreciate the fact that he's like, okay, everyone thinks I'm going to fail. Well, I'll show you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Second lumber camp from Villese and quite some farms. So this could actually be a light cav opening. But on the other side, Draken is going for stone. So actually thinking about organ guns here.
Yeah, this is actually the kind of the classic organ gun build as well, where right after they received the bonus where you get wood from the berries, players were delaying the lumber camp. So he went berries really early, lumber camp late. And this would be all in organs. And, organ guns were changed since that build was used in the previous season. And they're much worse, I'd say, in lower numbers. When they're elite, when there's a big mass and late game, I feel like they're much stronger. So I think this should be more difficult to implement compared to what we've seen in the previous seasons.
It just is that Mangonels are a way better counter now against them.
Yep. Like insanely good. I remember it happened to me first time. I couldn't believe it. I had 10 organs. I couldn't one-shot a Mangonel. Insane.
So since we won't have any action for at least 4 or 5 more minutes, walk us through your thought process for the map choices in TTL over the seasons.
Over the seasons? You mean like... Well, okay, so the idea is to have variety, obviously. I think Season 2, we had one map that I thought was going to be played a bit more like a semi-closed map, but it was just like a full closed map. So Season 2 is a little campier than maybe I wanted, but I want to have different maps that aren't played a lot. And then I want to have standard settings that players are going to understand. So a mix. Every season, I want there to be a change in or change out of 5 or 6 maps on average of the 11. And then I never want to see a map played more than 2 seasons in a row. So we have had, like, for example, in Season 1 and Season 2, we had Cross. And then come Season 3, we were like, we don't want Cross again as good as it is because that has been played twice already. Now, there's, like, some weird exceptions to that. Obviously, like, Graveyards is kind of an Arabia replacement. Arena was removed, but we brought in Zawal. But they're still played out differently. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, what was the map that was so different? Fortified Clearing?
Fortified Clearing, I thought, I have to remember the full pool, but I really thought Fortified Clearing would be a little bit different than it was.
Yeah, it was more wally. That's why I, for example, changed it for NSC 3, right?
Yeah, the weird, the not the weird, but like the stone on the side, so you couldn't wall it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is important.
Over castle.
So I think Villese might expect this based purely on the uptime from his opponent. And he got hit by Dracken Scout. A lot of players just keep running the opposite direction because if you double back, you get hit again. But Villese clearly wants to know. And he's going to see these villagers, so he should sense something is up here.
And he should have seen the footsteps as well.
In the snow, true.
Yeah. So he scouts it anyways, but he only scouted maybe 2 vills.
Yeah.
Right? The 5 were more hiding at the right side.
That's true. I wonder if Dracken intentionally pulled those 5, because if you just see 2, you might just assume it's going to be Monk and Siege push. I don't know if you're going to expect a castle. Man, I'll tell you what, if you can drop a castle next to all this stone, if you're Dracken, it is going to be extremely difficult for Villese to ever get on the stone himself for future defensive castles. So, like this, look at this. There's the neutral stone, there's the secondary stone, and then there's the main stone inside the walls there. That'll all be covered by this castle from Dracken.
Okay, first monastery, second monastery, so it's not going to be a defense including mangonels, at least not at the start.
I think you have to go mangonel, though, right? Like, I think we might know that, Nilly, because we're casters and we're so knowledgeable. but like, I remember, like, Slam, for example, never added mangonels initially against the Bohemian Wagons when he was getting rushed with that. It led me to believe that he didn't have experience on it. Villese has been a little less active over the last month or two. I wonder if he just hasn't really experienced how good the mangonels are against the organs these days.
Well, you're actually raising a reasonable point there in the sense that Villese is taking it a bit slower during the summer.
Yep.
And obviously still a strong candidate for the top 12, but won't have his craziest shape ever. And not super aware of the balance changes.
Yeah, like this is what we would have seen 6 months ago. You get redemption, it's big investment, you convert these organs. And monks aren't necessarily bad here, right? It's just a much bigger investment than maybe making a mangonel. And for Dracken, I think he's going to be happy that he's forced the reactions he has thus far. And he's experienced in these types of all-in situations. We've seen him fast imp on these. We've seen him go double, triple castle drop off these types of plays too.
Only now Loom comes in, and we have redemption finishing here. Conversions, let's take a look at them. Still 12 on stone for Draken.
Yeah. Yes, I have to say, you know, opinions aside on if he should have added mangonels or not, how good has he played this, Villese? Like, he gets the conversion. Actually, the scout also gets converted, so that's kind of nice. And behind this, he's adding the second TC, which I think I would have delayed another minute or 2 because of this pressure coming in. So really clean stuff from Villese.
Do you remember Villese against Citeaux, TTL Season 2? The Turk all-in?
Oh, yes, I do.
On Arena?
Yes, I do.
That was kind of similar, how Villese defended there with the double monastery.
Yep.
And got early conversions, and that made his defense so much easier.
Hey, remember that time we said mangonels would be good, Nilly? Because this would that would be really helpful right now as well. As Dracken comes forward, this is the castle creep. And I guess you have to back up with your organs here if you're Dracken, and in doing so might leave your villagers exposed. But it does feel like the castle should eventually go up for Dracken anyways. We'll lose villagers, though.
Converted. 3 villages converted.
Yeah, 1 monk goes down. Dracken unlucky not to kill another one. It went down to 1 HP. He should kill the traders here. There you go. Okay. So Dracken, at times in the past, has always added his own monks. Like, force your opponent into monks, get atonement, convert their monks back. But he hasn't done that. So this is actually second TC from him. I think he's going to shift into an economic approach.
Buy some food at second town center. And yeah, not what we typically see from him, right? As you said, I would have expected either, well, Mangonels don't make sense, but atonement monks do.
I think if you need to get fletching here, so your castle ranges that town center and this gold. Like, he sees the mining camp. He sees the TC. I don't have range mod with capture rate, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure fletching means you can hit those. And that would be really valuable.
I'm surprised by the placement. Like, why aren't you building it closer, or at least 1 tile closer anyways?
I think a little concerned, right? Actually, no fletching. He right-clicks the TC anyway, so he's going to shoot that down. I love this, though, from Villese. He converted that 1 organ, and he's counter-attacking with it right now.
Yeah, forces some walls, some reaction for sure. And still 8 on stone, so 3rd castle is an option. And now we get the speed upgrade and HP upgrade for Villese. Oh, he can chase down those organs now.
He can, but this TC could be spotted. Dracken has to run to the left anyways. Maybe you just sacrifice the vills with a couple walls here. Oh boy. These organs are clunky. There's a tree there as well. The monks want their organ guns. They're going to get 1. And Dracken, very fortunate not to lose more, but he needs to make sure he doesn't stop here. Those monks are following. Oh, man.
Speed upgrades. I'm surprised that Villese didn't shoot with his own organ here.
This could be all
really
organs
didn't want
converted.
to.
Oh, man.
That's so good for Villese.
I feel like for Dracken, he fell into a spot where he didn't think he was doing enough damage. And then he became uncertain on what to do. I think had he used his castle, it just stayed underneath the castle, maybe he would have eventually accomplished a little bit more there. But again, this is just Villese playing so good. He's also adding siege over at Drakken's base at the moment.
Crazy macro, and this is really ugly to defend here if you're Draken.
Yep.
Get some good walls in, but still, that's so annoying. And he will play now the 3rd TC against 3 TC of Villese, but 10 builds behind.
If you look at the KD, even just like the idle TC, idle eco, you might think, okay, well, advantage to Dracken, right? But obviously the KD doesn't incorporate conversions, but it doesn't take into consideration just how clean Villese has been able to play. How is he on 3 TCs with 20 on food right now? And also counterattacking with organs and monks and siege. It's so good.
Yeah, pretty crazy. 9 conversions already and 2,000 extra resources collected. Now has 2 relics as well. Oh man, this is looking really solid for Villese.
Yep. This is why Villese is so good. There's really not a setting that he struggles with. He does sometimes struggle to have as great a peak as maybe those people would consider to be in the top 5. But I mean, even then, there's been plenty of times where we've said Villese is currently top 5. This guy's just so clean all the time.
We have seen him in the semifinal in Red Bull, right? Beating Viper in multiple tournaments as well.
Yep.
Don't remember big wins against Hera or Lyri, though.
Trying to think as well. I agree. I don't think that those two have been players he's had a lot of success with. I think it's always gone the other way. But man, it just feels like he can do no wrong at this point. Like, poor Dracken, he's got 2 forward castles. He did shoot down a TC, but he can't push. He can't do anything. And it's his TC that is likely to go down. It just shows you, look, Villese just made a mill where his TC was. He's like, I can just farm here. Like, the fact that he's next to this castle with these gold miners even, he doesn't care.
More investment on the wood line. So many villagers have to run. Work efficiency going down heavily here.
Yeah, and obviously this is Dracken just trying to recover. His initial push didn't do enough. And so now he's playing the macro game, which I think, considering the circumstances, he's doing a really good job of.
Village is building
ecos
lots
amazing.
of houses. He really doesn't want to get housed again.
That's like the angry housed when you've gotten housed too many times in a game and you're like, never again. Villese is really going to go imp behind this. No stone. So he cannot build a castle. But he can get chemistry in the castle age and think about bombard cannons to eventually push back those castles and imp. This is... I'm struggling to see a way back here for Dracken.
Yeah, well, he is behind in economy, heavily behind in imp timing. The map control is not his, relic control isn't his. There's not a single scenario where he's ahead. The only thing is stone control.
Yeah, yep. And, you know, he's dropped 2 castles on the front. He's now got the castle at home to delay this push from going to the other TCs. But it feels like it's just perfect play because even if this castle goes up, Villese is just... He's okay with that because he's going to be on the next step, be able to do the next thing. If this castle even goes up, this castle actually could easily be denied by 3 mangonels. Drakken's going to force it, but yeah, okay.
Villese could have committed a bit there, I felt, right?
Yeah.
Could have been some solid shots against the Wilds.
It probably feels like it's more valuable to just keep this position as he's now going to convert a market, which is an arena player's best friend, so that's a good move. And, you know, Siege Workshop at home then for Villese. Monks all just waiting there as well. So, yeah, this is going to be bombard cannons and monks. Dracken might... He's a fighter, but I could see him possibly tapping out once he sees Imperial Age come in.
Yeah, and then most of the time you see, okay, let's quickly check the score. Is he maybe 1TCing? But if you are what he will be, like 1.4k score behind, you realize, okay, well, he has economy behind it as well.
Yeah, kind of tricky from here. I don't hate the idea from Dracken here, though. I think he probably felt like the Bohemians were the better late game civ. He might be regretting, man, maybe I should have tried Humans. Humans are a civ that could have given him more potential, but ultimately, this is just Villese just playing cool under pressure, which is his thing. And has made it look far too easy here. Like, this is... He didn't panic at all. It's like this is a normal situation for him to be double castle dropped with the working guns.
And Draken knows how important every single game is in this format. How he knows, okay, against Magugu and Miguel, like, this is going to be a really tight group for basically fighting for spot 4, 5, 6, and just prays to somehow get a win still.
Yeah, and, you know, an interesting thing to mention with Margugu Miguel, Margugu did get a win versus Villese. So, you know, that is something that you've got to think about too. If you feel as though you're competing for survival for the 4th place spot amongst, let's say, 3 players, getting wins against someone that the other player you competed with doesn't, that adds up. But at the same time, Dracken had beaten ACCM. We have not seen Margugu play ACCM yet, and I think ACCM could easily 3-0 Margugu. So lots of... It's still early here in the group, so lots of things to talk about. The army for Drakken's going to be Lycaf. He's going to maybe make a big wave of Lycaf, but we haven't actually seen a single scout produced yet. So it still feels like by the time he has the army produced, he will have lost all of his castles. I think a little late here.
What are the next steps here?
To the Lycaf.
Lycaf. Builds a market now again. Has lots of stables. Has a reasonable amount of farms actually here. 49 farmers. Or at least 49 farms. Only 30 actually working.
He actually got pop capped really bad as well, but when he lost that castle. And he could maybe lose this other one. And he could maybe lose the other one as well. So, yeah. But, I mean, Villese knows, right? He's like, the only thing that I lose to now is the Lycaf. And he sees the stables. He's going to lose the monks there. But this just gives him time to prep barracks wherever he needs it, both at his base, where he's actually making a very Villese castle, very like, okay, let's not allow him to do anything there type of castle. And then he even falls back to slightly, waits for the pikemen too. He's just playing patiently.
Yeah. And converting those 5 organs is coming in really handy for him as well.
Yeah, someone joined and said, I just got here. How does the Bohemian player have more organ guns than the Portuguese player? With 3 castles, too. That's pretty wild.
Soon down to 0 castles though. More conversions at the top. And yeah, Villese is just chilling it out so much now.
Yeah, and GG's called. Dracken. It hasn't... I think his game plans have been pretty solid thus far in this series, but Villese just too clean and too crisp in game number 1. Villese with the aggression got the damage done on a hybrid map with a mixture of land and water. Game number 2, more of a closed map. You got castle drop, double castle dropped even, and he still looked just unbeatable here. So odds aren't in Drakken's favor going into the next map because that will be Villese's home map, but it's still a play all 3, and still Drakken's got to be thinking, yes, this is bad, but if I snag 1 win, this is success for me. It's going to be it's going to be very difficult for other players to get wins against Villese.
But arguably, it is the map that will be toughest for him. It is super open. It is the home map of Villese, and strong civilizations for Villese as an option. This will be the toughest map to snag 1.
Yeah. I think we see an extreme opening from Dracken. Maybe tries to get some early upgrades. Maybe makes an double stable. Something a little wacky that the technical players don't necessarily tend to do. But yeah, Spiral. Oh, wait. Nearly, I think he goes Cumins on Spiral.
Yeah, absolutely an option. We've seen it before. The town center next to the berries.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I really like Cumins on Spiral. I also love Chinese on Spiral, though, and Malians and Byzantine. So the civs for Villese are also very strong.
Yeah, wasn't there, I think, Hard versus Nikov? Wasn't that like a 20-minute game?
Yeah. But honestly, I've seen it 5 different times. I think it was 4 times in gold, and it was 1 time in platinum. But Cumins have won every single time, except for when Barrels beat Ganji with Magyars versus Cumins.
Yeah, but that's probably a bit of a skill gap as well.
Well, maybe, but like Ganji won 2-1 the whole series. So Ganji lost with Cumins, but then Ganji won Migration, and then he won I forget what the other one was. So
interesting.
Ganji really looked good. It was a fun series. We'll definitely need to talk more about that because I got to also
Chinese against Incas.
Yeah, he went 140 Chukunu, 1 TC.
What?
Yeah.
What? 140 Chukunus?
Yeah, in Castle Age. It was insane.
Okay. Can I see that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on there. The series is out there. I didn't clickbait the Chukunu part, surprisingly, right?
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah. So here in the red, we've got Dracken again. He has gone for the Cumins. So just to restate the stats that I'm holding in my brain, I might have missed it, but in golds, we had 4 instances where Cumins was played on this map. They were never beaten. They beat the Vietnamese, they beat the Magyars, they beat the Malians, and I'm forgetting another one. And
Mongols.
Mongols, thank you. And then there was one other instance where I saw it, and it was in golds, and the Magyars for Barrels was able to punish it. And what Barrels had done in that game, Nili, if you didn't see it, it's really smart. Because players try and build this second TC with Cumins on the Berry Deer area, he actually went 1 militia to kill the deer, and then he went scouts with Magyars. So it was just a bit of investment to kill the 7 or so deer out there, which I thought was cool. But saying that, this is really close to Dracken, and Drakken's going to push them in.
Yeah, looks like it. And then he can build the TC maybe further back, but it's no great spots. And most of the time, then the opponent will get maybe a dock up and won't be too far behind in economy.
I could see Dracken skipping the dock because this generation has brought the berries really close, and the water's quite far of a walk for players here. So there can be some variance with the gens. I think this is the furthest I've seen the water from these players, and the closest I've seen the berries to the players.
Yeah, I personally am not a big fan if it can generate like this.
If it can vary. Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes initially I thought, okay, good, Jaras are great on this map.
Yeah.
But then they aren't. Then I thought like, okay, Huns are great on this map.
Yeah.
But then they aren't. So I think you kind of like you're just adding a lot of variance here in the map generation.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, it's something that is rare too, which I think can sometimes hurt your game plan a little bit, because if it's like 50-50, on what you get, it's easier to almost expect it. But if you don't expect it and then it's further away, it could change things. But if Byzantines pretty good in the waterfront in terms of competing for water anyways. We might see Villese even try to go for double docks here. But the main thing you've got to think of right now, as Villese has this villager exposed, is how do you punish the second TC? And normally, in a normal game on a different type of map, you punish the second TC by going for Castle Age play. So.
And Villese maybe wants to do that. Just going for the cheap camels, defend, play 3 TC, and humans, they want to make something happen with cavalry. So
Yep.
Byzantines could be a good counter.
It does feel like, I mean, he's going to have plenty of food when he gets to the next stage, regardless of what time he clicks up here, Villese. But Dracken has not docked. He did make a mining camp on gold, but then pull the villager off of gold, which is pretty unique. And he did see that Villese docked, but this does feel like 2 TCs is going to happen. I think we'll see the villagers for Dracken head towards the berries here in just a second.
Villese now with Loom plays 20 villagers, and he had 6 on wood, so this should be even 4 fishing ships. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, for 4 fishing ships for 3 fish. And the other bit of variance that can happen on this map is the location of the fish. So, like, Villese hasn't seen the third one yet. It's pretty far away. But he's going to find it, and that is consistent, so he knew to look for it.
But he, I think, is mainly scouting if Draken docked there, but because, like, this is super far away. You should never go for the deep fish that far away.
Yeah, a lot of players also have docked with 2 vills. That way their villager's not exposed. I think Villese just realized maybe Draken will be up soon. So he's actually running with that villager. I think Dracken could have done a better job staying near that villager. But it's also possible that Dracken wants his scout HP for later on in Feudal. And there's the, there we go, Nilly. There's the TC. So 2 TC play from Dracken. And lots of villagers coming for him.
Not towards the deer, though. This is mainly for the berries. I would have liked it more on the other side.
Yeah, I agree. But maybe he thinks it's more of a target there in the next stage. So a small thing to mention civ-wise, I'm a little surprised at choosing the Byzantines here. I understand how easy and free-flowing they can feel to play as a counter civ, but I would have felt like maybe Chinese with that strong early economy and the potential to kill being there a bit more would have been the preferred option here for Villese. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, Villese is not trying to kill. Look at that. This is a fast feudal without a barracks.
Huh.
This is simply like, okay, I go feudal. Your mind games are going to start.
Yep.
But the fighting is going to start in Castle Age.
Yeah. And Dracken's going to see this, and I think Dracken might be like, oh, crap. If he's double dock and I'm double TC, maybe things kind of even out here. Maybe it takes me longer to catch up, meaning I need to do something more, whether that be on land or on water. So this is the first time, Nilly, and this is due to the variance of the map. So well played from Villese to adapt to this, in my opinion.
Villese collected 700 extra resources.
Wow.
This early in the game.
Wow,
Absolute
that's crazy.
madness.
Yeah. And that's because he went to Feudal Age later, so he had more vills working, and then also has had the fishing ships. Yeah. So, we are kind of seeing the weakness of not having the fishing ships for Dracken, but TC kills the scout.
Okay. Well, that's really good for Draken. Now villages are being sent,
Yeah,
but mainly to get... Yeah.
I hate that mill location. I bet you any money those villagers are going to try and drop the deer off by walking through that one tile between the berries, and they're going to get stuck.
Let's see if he goes for the deer, right? Maybe he just sends 5 villagers for the berries.
Oh, no, I was actually... I hate Villese's mill as well. I was talking about Dracken.
Yeah, what I do in this spot is send multiple villagers on one berry push where the entrance is.
Yep. It looks like Dracken has maybe considered that too. But yeah, this will be fast castle for Villese. I think he must know that his fish are going to run out quickly though, right? Because he's almost finished with the food on the left pond. The right, obviously, he's got more to work with. But I think the eco count could be considered a little deceiving in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, if Villese isn't fish trapping with those fishing ships.
The collected resources are so unfair. It's 1,000 extra resources.
And this is
3.5 to 4.5.
And this is with humans involved. It's
Yeah.
normally the other way around. This is wild. And Dracken's going to see the blacksmith in the market. He will have already seen the second dock. And I think him seeing those buildings is probably like a head scratcher. Like, is he up right now? Is he actually up? How?
This is pretty wild. And I wonder how this would have played out if the rivers were towards the players and the TC spot would have been further away. If Villese would have played a different strategy and a different approach.
Yeah. And like also, had the water been close to Dracken, he would have docked. But like that's only because it was like too good to be true. You know, the water's close. When you've got the berries this close, I think he probably felt, oh, I can skip water and be in a beastly position. So yeah, I agree. I think we would have seen a different game. Villese making a stable now on the front. Again, just so clean. Like the idle TC time, the eco balance. It feels like his resources are perfectly set up for making knights, maybe even booming too. I'm loving this play.
I think it's maybe one knight and then full camel. Because, well, you are likely facing camel, step lancers, or knights yourself, right?
I would like to see him make a scout here. You lost your scout. I think
Oh,
it
yeah,
would just make sense to just add another one just to see what Drakken's up to at the moment.
Well, you kind of know that where the TC is, that he will have a lot of villagers. And the moment you build a mangonel, Draken kind of is forced to show you his hand as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. But, I mean, good job from Dracken to see the double stable.
Oh, yeah? Confirms that.
If Villese doesn't have army control, obviously we expect him to have a lot of control. But in the event that he loses control, his fishing ships could easily be sniped by step lancers or whatever Dracken chooses to make. So,
But they kind of did their job, right? We're down
yeah,
all
that's true.
deep fish. Now we're only on shore fish.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that much anymore.
Still 1,000 more resources collected. Normally at this point, we're just starting to look at the human resources and we're like, how do you stop this?
Yeah.
You know? And there's the
Oh,
siege
but that's why
workshop.
humans aren't that great if there's water involved. Right?
Yeah.
We never see humans on a map like Four Lakes. That would be absolutely horrible there.
Yep. And Dracken probably thinking, oh man, this is tough. I mean, you definitely feel it as a player too. Like you feel the class difference. I'm sure he can right now. And you and I have both been there, feeling that class difference against big names.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe like a tower here. I feel like you almost have to tower near the TC just to add one more defensive structure to protect the area if you're Dracken.
Ooh, and Draken tries to defend with spearmen and then goes for kip checks.
Yeah, he's going to fall back to that stone. I like how he's falling back because soon it's going to be really bad by this TC. I've seen players have like 20 villagers here still. And then they have to run and then they might run into offensive army. So I think that's a good decision here.
Lost 2. And Draken is 14 villages ahead. It
true.
shows obviously only 3 like economic units. But villages are way more important now.
Yeah, Villese. He's adding more monks. He took a fight versus the spears. Really smart move there. I think Draken didn't expect that. But at the end of the day, it's just spears with no upgrades versus camels that actually have full armor for Castle Age and the attack upgrade. That's more investment into camel upgrades than I was expecting here.
Oh, extra town center for Villese behind it as well. Important that Draken walled there.
Oh,
And he
Draken
does
is
so wet.
Draken is really feeling the no market right now. He really would love a market to just buy that stone real quick, buy a little bit of wood to repair the TC. Like, the resources are not balanced due to all this pressure from Villese.
Yeah.
Also, check out Draken's Scout, just chilling in the berries.
Yeah. Maybe a spot for the step lancers, but yeah, they feel like they can't afford going out there. Oh, this tricky Tristan.
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe move the Step Lancers out right now and try and take the Mangonels. He knows there's monks,
so.
though. There you go. That should be a kill. That's good. And then you could maybe get the next one, but the monks from Villese are waiting, and oh my goodness. He's going to save both of
Oh.
them. Oh, this is so bad for Draken.
More villagers in danger. Oh boy, he sends a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's already bad. You're already down 2-0. Try and get the castle up. Kip checks, they have an amazing tendency to bring games back sometimes. Oh, jeez. He's being patient, actually. So his TC's killing some camels. It's at 70%. He's going to get this castle up, Nilly. It'll go up.
Eventually. But, like, work efficiency is so bad.
Yeah.
And now you basically lost all your advantage.
Worker efficiency, and then you don't have a market, so you can't balance it with 1,200 gold. Just the worst feeling. Oh, oh God. And again, I think we should say, as Dracken Scout goes down on the berries, amazing from Villese. Like, similar to the first game, he's just so cool and calm. He's on 2 town centers. We might even see a third. He's happy to just still sit here and apply pressure. So it is just, there's just been too big a class difference between these two in this series.
I really wanted to see this game play out if Villese didn't have both waters.
Well, okay.
If he only
So,
has one pond.
well, let's talk about that though. What stops Dracken from going to water? He could have done it still
When?
in Dark Age.
Well, then you can't get Feudal Age fast enough, right? You can't play Pop 18 with water.
I disagree. Like that's what everyone went. With similar uptimes, I think they might have been up 30 seconds later, but they went for the dock. Now, obviously, here you would have had to walk further for the fish, so maybe that tacks another 30 seconds onto it. I think it was just too tempting to skip the water, because he maybe felt, okay, well, Villese's water is going to be delayed, blah, 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 blah. I can get my TC up quick, but I think you still could go for the dock here.
You kind of have to gamble as well that you don't dock in the same pond as the Byzantine player. Otherwise, you will invest into it and still lose it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you kind of have to wait. Where's the opponent docking? Okay, then I want to dock behind it.
Yeah. But it's interesting because initially my first thought when I saw the berries and the deer so close was this is advantage for humans. But in reality, if you don't dock, clearly you're just gonna fall behind, which is what we've seen here. So I think in Dracken's mind, he didn't think the map was actually bad for him. I think he probably thought that it was good. But Villese has played it so beautifully. Sneaky TC. This is gonna be spotted though by the
instantly. Monk. That's so fortunate for Villese
Yeah.
that he sees that, and he can send the Mangonauts over or just produce some new ones.
Yeah. Also, not really the spot. Like, that's clearly a desperation TC if you're TCing the berries instead of the stone and the gold there. Because he's out of gold right now. He's all on wood. Like, this eco has been... It's been all on gold or all on wood or all on food. It's been kind of... Well, it's been the opposite of balance this far for Dracken.
Let's take a look. Skip checks now trying to go for the monk. Oh, well, even that only after conversion. But now should out micro the Mangonauts.
Yeah, he's got good upgrades. Kip checks are really good for Castle Age. Mangano will go down. I mean, obviously it's Villese, and we just feel like this guy can never lose from a position like this. But Dracken's still only 10 eco behind right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of like useless eco, right? It's 70 builds against 70 builds.
Yeah. Yeah, and we should mention left pond, not fully fish trapped yet for Villese. He's doing it now, but it's not as if that food eco is actually helping him. He has 4 TCs, though, and I love his spots on all the extra stones and golds on the side, so he's expanded. He also knows about that TC from Dracken on the left, so he will push. It's so good. It feels like Villese almost has 2 players controlling the same game, right? Like one person's doing the army control and one person's doing the eco. Feels like a co-op game.
Yeah, feels like it. Honestly, like how easily he's expanding. Obviously, Draken never got any units out on the map, right? And that's why you can just scout and use your perfect, ideal TC spot, something that Draken couldn't do.
But it's so easy when you have a lead to like overboom and undermake army, or overmake army and underboom, and you know, have your imp be delayed, have your castle, your stone timing be delayed for your castle. This is just flawless. Castle's gonna go up as he's on his way to imp. He's also outposting the sides so he could see all the rest of the eco from Dracken. Like, man, this honestly, I know there's a level difference, but this is one of the cleanest sets I think I've seen from someone in like different situations thus far in Platinum. Like, really clean.
Yeah. Also, how actively he was repairing the mangonel at the front.
Yeah,
like,
true.
He just constantly tried to dive.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like what we'd see from Villese in Titans League this season is the first week would be a little rough around the edges. I did feel that on Migration against Margugu. I could tell that he wasn't quite up to speed on the meta. But, you know, the previous season it was the same. Like, first week a little weird. And then second week and beyond, he was amazing. I think he definitely went playoffs. I forget season 2. I know in season 1 he was in the final against Winchester, so, which is just a year ago now. So,
Old league player.
True. It's crazy how things have changed in just like a year and a half.
Season 2, Villese got second in this group before Tado, and then beat Vallas in the round of 12, and then lost to Hera.
Ah, okay, yeah, makes sense. I think that matchup is historically not so good for Villese, where Villese performs very well against Viper, interestingly enough, who then beat Hera in the final.
Yeah.
AoE 2 food chain is an interesting place. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny how different styles clash, but this is just a player who I think countered Dracken perfectly today. And Dracken gets 3-0'd. I mean, hey, if there's any positives from Dracken, I think that he actually played quite well. Like, there were opportunities in game 1. Had he just, you know, scouted a bit faster. Game 2, maybe even less chances than here. I don't know, but I think at least the positive you take from this 3-0 is hopefully Villese is just going to get better and just do this to everyone else as well. You know? He's got to hope for that.
It's shocking how easy it looked for Villese.
Insane.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, did he ever sweat in any of the 3 games?
Didn't seem like it. Like, his ability to make decisions in high stress moments is just second to none, I think. Like, the monastery opening in the previous game, I'm like, oh man, this might be a little bit late. Oh man, normally it's your eco upgrades are delayed. You're not going to get relics. You can't counterattack. He did everything. Fish traps here. I love the second dog. I think Dracken will be, you know, maybe not regretting. Maybe he'll be writing up input on the map. Maybe he agrees with you. You know, the variance of the map hurt him. I don't know, but still feel like there was no world in which Villese was ever going to fall behind today. So clean.
But then again, the push distance is shorter if you are at the sides.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Still, like, Villese is 16 minute, 11 seconds fast castle.
And there's no way that Villese, like, practiced that, right? Like, this is a full adaptation, which you would expect if you're adapting that it would be maybe a minute or two later, or some aspect of the build would look like it's difficult. This almost reminded me of, you know how the migration meta we have right now has evolved, and for a while it was like players thought galley opening could be strong. Then most players thought, okay, it's got to be fires, but we add this many fishing ships, right? Then it's like we add the fires after the fishing ships. Everyone does that. Now we go triple monastery. Then someone goes, okay, we're going to actually add light calf now. Like, the whole thing evolved over a while and became what it is on migration. It feels like this is an accumulation of some type of meta evolve, you know? Like, it feels like this is something that was designed. So clean. I'm impressed. Well, anyways, as far as the group stage goes, we'll talk about the group. It is the group that is currently behind others in terms of their games being played. Dogao and Miguel haven't played yet, and they will be playing catch up. So that should be coming soon. But what that means for Villese is after 2 rounds, he's 5-1, which I'm sure he'll be very happy with. For Dracken, he only has 1 win after 2 rounds, which obviously comes as a disappointment for him. But positive would be he got probably the 2 best players in the group out of the way already. Dogao, obviously, he might have something to say about those words. He might feel like he's one of the best players in the group, and we'll see. But I think Dracken can beat Margugu. He can beat Miguel. And he can definitely get a win or maybe two against Dogal. So the future's still possibly bright for Dracken.
Yeah, absolutely. From here on, only gets easier, and he can watch all the games of his opponents as well. And as we said, I think he will be more prepared than someone like Miguel. Not only now, but also if we get deeper into the tourney. When are they playing? Like, if that's week 5? Miguel vs. Draken is week 5. Ooh, that's a really interesting one.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, in both season 1 and season 2, it went down to the final week for Miguel. It was Miguel needed a result of his own in the first season, but he also needed Jordan. No, he needed to 2-1 Jordan, which he did to stay alive in season 1. Season 2, I forget, but I think he came in 4th again, but it went down to the wire. But I think Miguel's playing the game less now than he was in season 1 and season 2. So he should be more vulnerable.
Miguel beat Kingston 2-1 in the end to get... Oh, that was the group where so many went 2-3, and he beat Ganji 3-2. So yeah, 5 wins out of the last 2 weeks for Miguel.
Yeah.
Out of his 6 in total. He had 1 map win in the first 3 weeks, and then 5 in the last 2 weeks.
Crazy. Yeah, I think we'll see similar runs, in all honesty. That's just how some players are. Which I think some players start really quickly, and you can tell their practice has paid off. And then they slow down because people know what strategies they're doing or whatever else. But I think Dogal and Miguel will probably get a bit better as time goes on. But I'm close with Miguel. I just know he hasn't been as active. He plays Dogal Thursday or something, so I think we cover that Saturday. And then his second set should be up against Margugu, working on the order and whatnot, so we'll see. But yeah, interesting group. Since I have you and we haven't talked about it before we part ways here and more sets happen today, what group do you think is overall the toughest out of all the Platinum groups?
Well, they're toughest in different levels, right? The top 3 are clearly top Group D.
Yeah.
With Leary, Tato, Viper, probably 3 top 5 players in there.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely crazy. But then we have to think Sobek, probably bottom 3 out of whole Platinum. Vivi, not great on most of those maps. Classic Pro, probably also a player that we don't consider top 20 in the world.
Yep.
So there's a clear difference in the top 3 to the bottom 3. So that's clearly my group if you consider top 3. If we try to average it, Ganji and Lan just falling off too much in C, in my opinion. Maybe if we average it, it feels so wrong to say it, but maybe A.
Yeah, I was thinking A or C.
In there.
Let me put it
really
this way.
close.
Yeah, it is close. And there's no correct answer here. It's just fun to talk about. The most unprepared players from what I've seen thus far have been Lix. Lix has by far been the most unprepared. I was tilted out of my mind watching him play Migration like he did, for example. So Lix
Not
has
the
been...
wall? The wall was
that too. I went into that and I was saying that I felt Lix was unprepared because of how he played Migration. And then on the wall, I saw the 2 villagers go forward, and it just reiterated my point. But yeah, so I think Lix and Lan have struggled the most. But Lan has at least been close. I actually was very disappointed in Jordan's first round as well, but I think I have enough faith in him to turn it around.
Yeah, I've not seen those games, but I'm not surprised. Jordan, he's a guy that needs to practice a lot and really thrives through preparation.
Yeah.
And that will be tough now.
Yeah.
He was enjoying the summer, now started his full-time job.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 4th in this group.
Thus far, it's only been 1 week of watching Jordan play and Ganji and Barles and whatnot and freaking Andy, but I could see Jordan getting relegated this season, Nilly. Straight up, skim through the Ganji Barles set, the level was insane for both of them.
Okay.
And then Andy is played very solid as well. So that'll be an exciting group. So if I had to say the weakest overall, I agree with you. It's very, or not weakest, but like the most balanced. I agree that it's very tricky, but probably A and C. And yeah, so it should be fun stuff, man. I'll definitely reach out about future casts. I haven't told you this. I have been using for months. I just pull up your stream when you're grinding your 1v1s as I'm doing stuff around the house and you know, like on the exercise bike or something. So I went to pull up something. I was like, oh yeah, Nilly's playing 1v1s. And the title is like TTL. I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, I've been grinding quite a bit, but also will cast a bit. So especially over the next, I would think 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, just hit me up.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds like a plan, man. Have a good rest of your day. All right?
Yeah. Thank you. See ya.
See ya.